A limousine can say you arrived, or it can say you had $120 for prom night, unless you're in one of these standout stretch rides. When it comes to limos, size matters. At least that's what Jay Orberg, original builder of the $2 million American Dream limousine, must have felt building his record-holding 100-foot-long limo out of a 1976 Cadillac Eldorado. Orberg has had hands in many famous movie and TV cars, including KITT, the DeLorean Time Machine, and the Ecto-1. When not helping create icons, he creates ridiculous things like the widest car in the world, a limo version of the Ferrari F40, and the American Dream. Originally a scant 60 feet long, the Dream was extended to 100 feet long, setting a record for the longest car in the world. That involved several Cadillac Eldorados, 26 wheels, and a hinge in the middle to make it slightly less impossible to turn. Inside, there was seating for 72, including several TV screens, a jacuzzi, a pool with a diving board, a waterbed, and even a candelabra. The back deck of the limo featured a helipad that could be used as a putting green when there wasn't a helicopter in the way. The car was originally powered by 2 Cadillac engines and operated with drivers on both ends. Originally built in 1986 for around $2 million, the car eventually fell out of repair, changing hands with the best intentions a number of times, before being acquired by Michael Deser of Deserland Attractions. After 2 years, a few more donor Cadillacs and GM cars, and $250,000, the exterior of the American Dream had been restored and ready for display. To commemorate its return to glory, an extra inch and a half was added to allow the car to break its own record. According to Pink Floyd, if you're in the high-fidelity first-class traveling set, you might want to buy yourself a Lear Jet. But Lear Jets are only good for getting you from airport to airport. How are you going to impress people at the club? With a picture of your Lear Jet sitting in its hangar? Well, Dan Harris of Oregon knew what to do, and 40,000 man-hours later, he had the fuselage of Lear Jet sitting atop of a custom-built chassis, housing an 8.1-liter, 400-horsepower GM V8 to create his 42-foot-long Lear limousine. Accommodations for 17 of your closest friends is the usual limo fare, featuring copious amounts of neon and infinity floor, flat screens, and 17,000 watts of stereo. The whole thing was assembled by Exotic Coach of Chicago. The Lear limousine was completed in 2018 and appeared at the 2020 Mecum auction of Indianapolis, where it drew a $600,000 bid, not clearing the reserve price. We all know the expression, go big or go home. And hailing out of Mexico, the Boeing 727 limo, tipping in at 24,000 pounds, 53 feet, certainly does go big. The front section of the airliner has been cut off, shorn of its wings, and then placed on top of a Mercedes bus chassis, complete with a turbo diesel engine to drive the beast. Inside is all the decadence you'd want from someone strapping a commercial liner to the frame of a bus. There's a colorful upholstery, neon lighting, flat screens, dance floor, and naturally a fireplace. And if you wanna, let's say nap, there's a heart-shaped bed in the back. There's no information on how it was made or for how much. It did pop up on eBay, where it demanded close to $275,000. The beast last resided with Limo Bob of Las Vegas, who passed last year. At the time, $100,000 would have gotten you a week with the party jet car, and it was offered for sale for $1 million. There could be a whole video about sports cars being turned into limos. There's just that little jab in the eye of convention to take a zoomy car and turn it into a party cruiser like a Porsche limo, or a Ferrari limo, or a Viper limo. To keep it simple, we'll go with the very ridiculous take, a Bugatti Veyron. Who would take a $2 million hypercar and mash it up into another $2 million car to make a stretch limo out of a car meant for speed? No one. That would be crazy. But they would make a replica of what a Bugatti limo could be, created by USA Republica for the Pitbull music video for Greenlight. There's not a lot of detail, but seeing as the car was primarily just part of the background, not a lot went on the inside. If that seems disappointing, Cars for Stars has a Lamborghini Aventador stretch. Capacity goes up to 5, with an L-shaped couch and the screens and lights and stereos that you'd expect in a limo. The catch is, of course, no one has asked for one yet, but they made a demonstration video of what it would look like if someone would order one. With the base Aventador clocking in around $500,000, the stretch one isn't going to be cheap. It wouldn't be the first Italian thing that they stretched out. They already have a Ferrari 360, given both the stretch and gull wing treatment. Sometimes you want your special day out to have more baritone in the voice, where you say the day 3 times in a row, like Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. You want big air and commuter cars smashed beneath your enormous wheels. You want a monster truck limo, and the Sin City Hustler is up for the task. Except for insurance reasons, big air is off the menu. Offered briefly for sale at $1 million, the Beast was hand-built by monster truck racers Brad and Jen Campbell of Big Toys Racing. The couple that Monster mashes together stays together. Brad took it upon himself to custom build everything by hand out of a Ford Excursion. Seating is for 12, but the Sin City Hustler forgoes all the flash and dazzle of a regular limousine, mostly because it's not street legal. Instead, the Campbells have a short 5-minute monster truck appropriate course that the Hustler will take them on. Passengers get in and out via a remote hatch. Power is a very monster truck worthy 750 horsepower out of a 521 cubic inch block. Speed is at a size limited 45 miles per hour. If you pay the $1 million, you can get all the wicked air you want. Big air, off-road car smashing is fun and all, but not everything in Vegas is all show and no go. YouTuber Gabby Downing and VP of Stunts at Pit Viper, Jim York, got together and did something York called a horrible idea. They took an entire chassis from a 1999 Lincoln Town Car limousine and welded it on top of a 1-ton Chevrolet 4x4 pickup. It kept the Lincoln's 4.6-liter V8 and stock 4-speed automatic. Now, however, it feeds power to an Atlas transfer case for 4-wheel action. Just to prove how serious they were about their horrible idea, they entered it into the grueling Mint 400 Desert Race in the experimental supercar category, where it was the only entrant. York may have thought it was a horrible idea, but he also admits that he loves a good horrible idea. And the car, which ran the second weekend of March, was every bit the bad idea it promised to be. 5 miles in, the radiator cracked, forcing them to fill it every 4 miles of the 400-mile race. By the finish, they had broken a leaf spring, lost power steering, and even bent the axle. It was a course worker who had mentioned that he had bet someone $10 that the limo wouldn't even make it to the first checkpoint. And that was all the motivation York and Downing needed to soldier on to the end. There was no build sheet to determine how much the off-road limo racer cost to make, but there was enough to indicate that it would be a success, since the underpinnings were similar to a hearse build York did to achieve the longest jump in a hearse. For off-roaders, dirt is for racing and the asphalt is just for getting there. But asphalt has its thrills, like Formula 1 racing. Single-seat, open-wheel Formula race cars aren't known for their passenger carrying, but this F1 limo has seating for 6. The GP Limo was the creation of Canadian Mike Pettipas, who worked on the machine on and off for 15 years, before debuting it at the Las Vegas Speedway in 2009. This isn't just a dressed-up ride. Pettipas has claimed top speeds of both 250 miles an hour and 300, not with anyone on board presumably. At the time, the car was entering into government testing as an amusement. Pettipas hoped to charge $5,000 for events and $200 a lap in the unique ride, but there's little news since its 2009 introduction. There have been 6 different actors who have played Batman in the last 30 years, and everyone can argue over who their favorite is. But when it comes to Batmobiles, none has captured the imagination like the original from 1989. When Batman decides he wants to lean into his superpower that he's rich, he can limo up his crime-fighting ride into this Batmobile Limo. The Bat Limo is a private build, used mostly for show, so little is known about what went into or what it cost to make. The intakes on the side double as speakers to play What Else?, the theme to the 1989 Batman. Some people look at a menu of options and just scan to the bottom where they can click all of the above. Folks like Auntie Rocco and his Finnjet Art Car Limo. Rocco retired to the United States in 1984 and set about outdoing Johnny Cash on this one-piece-at-a-time creation. 40 different cars have donated parts to this creation, including 2 Mercedes-Benz station wagons welded together. There are 36 mirrors and 86 lights, all competing for your attention. A 1962 Chrysler Imperial donated its headlight assembly. Inside features a microwave, TV, freezer, and a sauna. 2 of the 3 axles turn. Altogether, the car has won first place in the Houston Art Car Parade 3 times. Built and added to over time, there's no telling the cost to build, but Rocco's health had made him finally accept that the car is done and has put it up for sale for $950,000 in 2009. With no takers at auction, the car was listed in Hemmings News for a more modest $100,000. There are some levels of eccentricity that you have no choice but to just accept for the marvel that it is, like Gustine Castle and her fur-covered novelty limos, including the Marathon limousine turned into a giant orange caterpillar. Well, according to Castle, it's a caterpillar, as she's built a philosophy around can over can't, and changed the name of her favorite shade of orange, cantaloupe, into cantaloupe. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And so is the Caterpillar limo. Every inch on the outside is covered in fur, and the fun doesn't stop on the outside. Inside, there are 25 stuffed animals, all named Linda. The car is certified to carry 7 birthday kids, with the guest of honor seated in Big Linda, a large stuffed gorilla with a lap belt. Turns out Gustine has always named all of her dolls Linda, which just so happens to be her given name. Calliope, specifically Calliope the Cantaloupe Caterpillar, is part of the Castle Kid themed fantasy world, which includes more fur-lined cars and adventure locations built in her own house, though all of the websites were not active at the time of writing. When you're one of the last remaining absolute monarchs in the world, like the Sultan of Brunei, as the saying goes, it's good to be king. For instance, for one of your 3 weddings, you can commission a Rolls-Royce Silver Spur 2 to be covered in 24-karat gold, including hubcaps and fringe bits. Since it's a wedding wagon, there's no sitting on the inside. Over where the trunk used to be is a set of seats with a canopy over the top for the bride and groom to wave at all the people who can't have their Rolls-Royce Silver Spurs 2 covered in gold and have a custom display stand in the back. No details were released on the build, but Select Car Leasing added up what they could see and valued the car at $14 million, making it the most expensive car owned by a monarch. The Sultan of Brunei can add that to his other most, including the most amount of cars in a private collection of over 7,000 cars, including over 600 Rolls-Royces, making him also the world's largest Rolls-Royce collector. Just because the world is ending doesn't mean the party has to stop. At least theoretically, that's the philosophy of the Volt XXL, the armored truck that was turned into a limousine. Outside, fend-off roaming outlaws with UL-rated thermal and composite ballistic panels, able to withstand artillery strikes. Inside is a wet bar and fully integrated entertainment setup. View the outside through bulletproof glass or fend off attack through the gun ports. Inside are several LED screens. You can reach the outside via 2 escape hatches, but if the party is still swinging, you can hang out and enjoy the retractable dance pool. Interiors can come in jet setter, cigar bar, mega yacht, and shagadelic. You can rent the Unstoppable Party for $125 an hour. Maybe the Vault isn't secure enough for you, and the Sin City Hustler isn't crushy enough for you. Well, you can up your game in both categories in one go with the Tank Limo. In the tradition of anything can be a limo, why not add a tank? To be clear, this isn't hanging some fancy in a tank and calling it a limo. In true limo fashion, it is 2 British troop carriers joined together to make a massive go-anywhere limousine. This adds 5 feet overall to the length of the vehicle, which also incorporated running gear into the embiggening of the tank. For $2,000 a day, the tank can be yours, and if yours is in Britain, it's street legal in the country, but as long as you pay the shipping, the tank limo will come to you. When I say cow limo, you'll either think of a fancy ride for cows or a limousine covered in cows. It's the latter, but a fancy ride for cows would be cool. The limo with its backyard shenanigans adoring the roof of the car, and it was a popular Ohio rental. It started life as a promotional vehicle for the Chips and Giggles comedy calf. That's calf, as in baby cow. Because if a comedy club doesn't kinda make you roll your eyes, are they even trying? The club has since been closed with no indication what happened to the Barnyard Limousine. One of the things that helped establish the electric car over the past few years is the realization that electric cars get up and go in a hurry. Tesla made his name with the Roadster, and a group from Keio University in Tokyo started with a limousine naturally, the KAZ Electric Limo. There's nothing normal about this all-electric limo, starting with the sci-fi styling. 8 wheels house 8 individual 74-horsepower motors that team up to give the limo just shy of 600 horsepower, which can shoot the car down the quarter mile in 15 seconds, if drag racing is the kind of thing you want to do in a limo. The 8 wheels and low center of gravity means that the car remains relatively stable during high-performance driving. In your limo, the group has moved on to a personal 8-wheeled car, the Elica. Some cars would be lucky to be famous for one thing, like a high-profile failure or a founder ending up arrested, or being the time machine in a classic movie series. The DeLorean got to be all of those things, and also a limousine. Rich Wiesenthal once met John DeLorean, and since then has been obsessed with turning wrecked DeLoreans into something special. The limo features 3 sets of gold-wing doors, stretching the car to 26 feet. Wiesenthal notes that the lining up of 6 individual gold-wing doors was tricky. He's also managed to create a DeLorean monster truck, a convertible DeLorean, and naturally a time machine replica. Since he pieces them together from wrecked DeLoreans so as not to cut up viable ones, there's no way of knowing what each creation is worth. For some, a motorcycle isn't a mode of transportation, it's a way of life. For the most part, people who feel that way tend to ride Harleys. When you're a big bike lover on your big day, no regular rolling coffin is going to do the job. That's why you need the HD Limo bike. Up front is the fork and tank of a chopper with a comfy seat for the chauffeur to operate it from. Behind is a classic coach with seating for 6 and the usual array of electronic distractions. The rear ceiling gives weight to the sky to soak in the great outside because it's still kind of a motorcycle. There's no indication as to who built the HD Limo bike, or more importantly, why, but it first showed up as a rental for Australia's wildfire rentals in 2012, with it being removed from the roster in 2017, with no indication as to what happened to it after that. Perhaps it's taking a Cinderella that wears glass boots to the ball. Once upon a time, the humble Volkswagen bus was a symbol of beach and hippie culture, as adventurous teens and low-ambition young adults could buy and follow their bliss, or the Grateful Dead, thus earning the nickname the hippie bus. One televised auction later, in a heaping helping of nostalgia, and the once cheap as dirt VW bus is a valuable collector's car, even when customized, like this 1965 stretch VW bus. Seemingly cut from a 21-window bus, with an extra 3 roof windows on each side, making it a 33-window bus, is now a 12-passenger VW that has a 2074cc engine that will let the Bus Limo do 65 miles per hour, which is a premium on the stock bus at a cruising speed of 50 and a 0 to 60 time of maybe. It was commissioned by a Southern California custom shop for a Maui limo service. The project took 2 years to complete before being shipped off to the islands. Financial woes took hold, and the bus had to be put up for sale, pulling down $220,000 on eBay. With the American dream taking longest long past its reasonable extremes, limousines have to take other routes to become the mostest at something. The Midnight Rider goes for the heaviest and biggest by converting the biggest object on the road, the $2.5 million tractor-trailer Midnight Rider. This big mamma jamma was dreamt up by Pamela and Michael Machado, inspired not by limousines, but by the old coach cars of train travel. So over the course of 7 years, in phases 5 people set about well-appointing the trailer in the fashion of President Grant's Pullman car. That means polished brass, oak wood, and authentic fabrics throughout. Throughout includes 3 lounges and a full bar, as well as 4 staff members to tend to the 40 guests that can comfortably enjoy the space. Each space has its own sound system and TVs, so no arguing over which game to put on. Riding the Not Really rails will set you back around $1,000 an hour, with a 3-hour minimum, but if you're in for the long haul, the Machados have some partner hotels across the country for little discount rates. Or, the Midnight Rider can pack enough fuel to make it from the West Coast to Chicago on a single tank, party all the way to Chicago and back. The Midnight Rider gets around 5 bookings a month, which comes with a lot of cleaning, roughly 36 hours per rental. The Midnight Express is popular enough that they don't even have to advertise it, as corporate clients seem to find them pretty easily as it is. It's so successful that the couple has considered building tractor-trailer limos for others as well. Sure, you can take a tractor-trailer and deck it out like a Pullman to get $2.5 million, or you can just start with an already expensive vehicle and make it more expensive, like this $3.3 million stretch Rolls-Royce Phantom. The Phantom starts around $500,000, and then you work your way up with just regular options or bespoke custom bits. In addition to that, the limo adds an extra meter for a total of over 7 meters long. To keep anyone from storming your $3.3 million ride, it has European B7 grade protection, which means it's good for firearms and explosions. So whoever made you mad that will blow stuff up, the limo has you covered. A pool seems like a good idea for a limo, but it sort of means you're wet inside your fancy car. Or you have to stay inside the swimming pool the whole way and arrive wet. It would be fun sloshing around as the car turns though. But this seems like one of those things you get just to say you have it.